Today's Evening First Alert Weather Show is brought to you by Bresky Siding.
And good evening, Mid-Michigan. Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick with your quick update as we take a look outside tonight along US 10 in Bay County, where the snow is coming down pretty well, was coming down pretty well outside of our Saginaw studios as well. I would say, man, if this snow that was coming through right now was around for more than maybe an hour or two in any one location, I think we'd have a much different story tomorrow morning. But this system, for as long as it took to actually get here, was really delayed compared to some of the projections that we had yesterday. But once it got going, it has certainly made its presence known around the area tonight. Definitely with some of the blowing snow, too. Was seeing some really low visibility a little bit earlier on when I went to grab dinner, and it seems like some of that is continuing now if you look towards US 10. So this isn't going to be a big snow. We talked about that the last couple of days, but the fact that it's coming through and the fact that we're getting some of those snowfall rates in excess of about a ½ inch per hour up to around an inch per hour in some of the heaviest spots, you know, it is not the easiest one to get through tonight if you're out driving in it. Thankfully, most of you watching on the stream tonight are inside for the night anyway, so you don't have to deal with it. But it is causing some lower visibility. Some areas down to around a mile, maybe even a little bit less when the wind really picks up. We're currently seeing some gusts that are probably about 30 miles per hour or so. Saginaw looks like it's at about 29. Owasso, Flint, and Lapeer seems like they've come down a little bit. But overall, we're expecting some of this to continue for at least the next couple of hours. The radar shows what appears to be the heaviest bands currently lining up roughly from about Port Hope through Bad Axe down through Caro, and now extending into northwest Genesee County, northwest of Flint, and southeast Shiawassee County. So that is the heaviest, but we're still going to get a little bit of this snow on the backside of the heaviest band. That's going to have to move through. That's going to coat things a little bit more. And then as far as the Clipper system is concerned, if we zoom out onto the sky tracker here, I'll take these fronts off because we have to redraw them for our 10 o'clock newscast coming up in a little bit. But you can see there's a bit of a quiet period behind this where there's really not much happening. And so you've got all of this area towards Lake Michigan and even into West Michigan now. That seems like it's going to be relatively tame for the next several hours. But unlike Wisconsin over here, we have the Great Lakes and that northwesterly flow behind. That snow that is currently working its way through the area now is eventually going to kick up some lake effect later tonight. So let me take a look at our traffic map, see if there's anything that's really showing up here. It looks like we've got some slowdowns in and around the US 10 corridor, right around Clare, some up and down 127. Seems like we've got sections of M13 and I-75 through Bay County that are running a little bit slower. Genesee County, probably, I would say not as slow yet, but you're kind of just getting started here recently, so I think that'll have a chance to catch up pretty soon. A few of them in our northern counties as well. In full transparency, our weather company that provides us this traffic data, they went through a little bit of an update, and we actually have a new traffic vendor. And we're having a tough time deciding whether this new traffic vendor has been a little bit better or not. I'll be completely honest with you. It seems like it's been a little underwhelming. So I'm actually going to pull off and go to the MI Drive map and show you, and this looks a lot different. This looks like we've got slowdowns extending all the way through US 10. We've got some all the way up and down 127, starting to see some slower traffic in and around I-75. We've got some of those slowdowns through what appears to be that M13 corridor all the way up really to the West Branch and Houghton Lake area. So that might be something. It's not necessarily I would say anything that indicates bad data, but sometimes there's different scales to this, and it just might be the way the new vendor kind of qualifies some of these things. But here's a look at some of the plows And I love these plows that they have the names on the map. This is Spirit of Saginaw right here. It's a little tough to tell, unfortunately, because it's nighttime, but occasionally you can get a look at the road. And it seems like for your ice only, there's definitely some snow-covered roads there. It seems like there's a plow running out ahead of it. Winter Warrior, that definitely looks like we've got some lower visibility there. Will be snow day. That one appears to be on 675. Definitely snow-covered, and then a little bit tougher to see on Nameless. It says maintenance vehicle, so it might not have a name yet. This one's Beast, some snow-covered roads there. Definitely covered in Mount Pleasant near 127. And then looks like we've got one, the Plowers That Be. This one along US 10 closer to Clare. That is definitely slow-covered and probably a bit slick as well. So the message here is, of course, as we go through tonight, we're starting to see a few of those in the thumb too, but I imagine we'll see more here in the next couple of hours. The message here tonight is, again, not the fact that we have snow moving through that's going to add up to a lot, but it is going to be a bit of a nuisance on the road here in the near term, especially as we see this heavier band of snow continue to work its way through the area. So it seems like the worst is now starting to move past some of these western thumb areas. And so we're just starting to see the slowdown. So there might be a little bit of a delay there. Wouldn't be shocked if we start to see things deteriorate a little bit more on the traffic map as time goes on. Let me just take a quick look down to Flint. Just see what our downtown Flint live camera looks like, because that one's lit up pretty well. And let's pull that up just to get a sense of what's going on in Flint. Seems like snow's falling, but may not be all that heavy for the moment. Let's look at downtown Saginaw. I know for a fact it was coming down pretty good outside of our studios. Camera doesn't always do it justice, so let's see how it looks here. Yeah, we've got some snow-covered streets in Saginaw. Let's zoom over to Mount Pleasant if we can see on the campus of CMU. This camera's a little dark this time of night, but yep, campus has got a good coating of snow in the grass and on the sidewalk. So things coming down efficiently there. Traverse City. This one's not going to have a label on it, but it's Traverse City. Looks like they've had a chance to plow. And then if I can find Cadillac. Cadillac was one that was really good earlier tonight. That might be on the same page as Mount Pleasant. Maybe not. Let me see. I'll pull that one up for everybody just because we're here. I'll take a look at the chat in just a second. So if you have a report for me, let me get to you in just a moment. Here's a look at Cadillac. This is one I showed on air a little bit earlier tonight. Give it a chance. There's Cadillac right there. They got a pretty good burst of snow, I would say, in about 45 minutes or so. This was a completely dry scene on the streets, at least. Earlier in our evening newscast, and then I would say within about 45 minutes, you had a complete coating on some area roads. Looks like it's still fairly coated, but also not a ton of snow, but just enough, again, to be a problem on some area roads for tonight. So I'm going to pull up the chat, and just take a look at what some of the reports are coming in. Lonnie, you've coming from Coleman, US 10 snow covered to Sanford, working in Midlands. Lonnie, be careful if you haven't left yet. But if you have left and you're passing along that report, appreciate you, Lonnie. Nicole, lightly snowing in St. Charles, almost 2 inches in Prescott. Thank you, Ryan. Christopher, Hemlock, snowing pretty good. Brian in Reese, I'll pull up the snowfall map in a minute. Generally speaking, we're looking at about a trace to 3 inches across the area. That's just a general area-wide message for tonight. But I'll pull up the more specific map here in just a second. I want to get through some of these reports. Bad Axe, road conditions in the morning. I think I'm more worried about side streets and back roads. Hillary, great report. Friend just said roads are bad between Bay City and Linwood. Appreciate that, Hillary. Linda says, just let my dog out for one last time. It's really snowing harder now and blowing here in Saginaw Township. So Saginaw Township, that's the one thing I noticed was the wind. When I went out to grab something to eat, the wind was really blowing things around. So I think we do need to be careful with blowing snow tonight. I think we need to be careful with drifting snow tonight. That could blow any snow back into the roads. 3/4 of an inch east of West Branch so far. Good evening, Kelly. Good evening, Ivy. Nice to see you, Jeremy, Peter. Good evening. For everybody asking about Lanny, I'm sorry, Lonnie. Gosh, for whatever reason, I thought it was Lonnie. I know you've responded to me before, and I apologize. I didn't, for whatever reason, I thought it was Lonnie. My apologies. But I would say if anybody's asking about road reports, if we look at the current timeline of this, you'll notice pretty much all of it is done by about 12 o'clock. There's maybe a little bit more that lingers into the overnight hours, and then we get these scattered snow showers that redevelop towards the morning commute. But you'll also notice it's not everywhere. I think we see a little bit more in the thumb compared to elsewhere. But I think the big question is just how well can we treat tonight? How well can we catch up? And I think if things are done by midnight, obviously places, if this occurs, say in Bad Axe, if it can hold off until 8, we might be okay with school. But I would say if we're in this position by 6 and we really haven't seen those scattered snow showers come back yet, that gives us several hours to treat and plow and all of those types of things. And hopefully we can get roads up to a pretty good standard by tomorrow morning. The complicating factor is, of course, is if this snow, even after we clear it, if the wind, thankfully I think it's going to calm down a little bit overnight, but if that wind really starts kicking up again and it moves a lot of this back into the road, well then all bets are off because our low temperatures tonight are expected to be below freezing. And so I would say better odds than not that school will be in session for tomorrow. I'm hoping we're in a position that the main roads at least will be in decent shape. But I think as it typically does, I think one thing that could be a factor is the side streets and back roads. So we'll kind of see. I would say if there's any students watching or any parents who have their students kind of nipping at their heels, wondering if there's going to be school tomorrow, do the homework just to be on the safe side. And if you get surprised, then you're in a better position than you were before. But that's going to be the key. Is we're going to be over with this clipper, I think, by around midnight or maybe just a little bit sooner. But it's what's going to happen with these scattered snow showers, I think, overnight and what time they arrive. This doesn't look too bad, but I think these look a little healthier in the thumb once we start getting into Wednesday. So here's that snowfall map. We did lower this just a little bit. We only lowered it by an inch in the 1 to 3 inch area. We're at a 2 to 4. We just went down a little bit. It seemed like because of how quickly this is moving through tonight, that the chance for 4 inches of snow, I would say, I'm not ready to say 4 inches is impossible, but we just felt like most areas probably wouldn't get there. And so just for perception, we thought about 1 to 3 was appropriate enough. As is always the case with lake effect, especially in the thumb. The thumb is a very humbling place when it comes to lake effect sometimes. Occasionally you can get a stronger band that develops if it picks up enough moisture off the bay or picks up enough moisture off Lake Huron. But I would say the probability of that, if we look at one of our models, I showed this last night. This takes kind of all of our higher resolution models into account, and what it does is it gives us the odds of what would be the chance of 4 inches of snow or more. And if we take a look, let me just pull this up while I've got that snowfall map up, and we'll zoom in a little bit closer to Michigan. It's saying through this is through 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. It's not showing any probability of 4 inches of snow or more from 7 o'clock tonight until 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And usually if there's even a small chance, this model right here is pretty good at picking up on really heavy bands of lake effect snow. The fact that this model's not even suggesting a 10 to 20% chance, and you can see the legend here at the bottom, the fact that this is not picking up on any possibility of 4 inches of snow or more, even on the lower end of the percentages for, say, Huron, Tuscola, or Sanilac County, leads me to believe that 4-inch totals will be fairly isolated if we see any at all. So again, models aren't perfect, and knowing how lake effect can be, I'm not ready to say it's completely off the table, but that's kind of the motivation why we went down to about 1 to 3. And I think the fast forward motion of this storm tonight, it is technically a storm. It's not the worst that you've ever seen. But I think the fast forward motion of this also limits the impact. I think if this hung out for 5 or 6 hours, we'd be in a much different situation. I think we'd have advisories, or I think we'd, if this lingered for 6 to 8 hours, we might be in warning territory with how efficient some of this snowfall was on the front end tonight. But just the fact that it's moving so fast through the area, even though it took all day to get here, is I think noteworthy. All right, Lanny, have a good night. Thanks for your report. Hillary with good advice. If you go out to drive tonight, drive to conditions. Always great advice. Trevor, the snow is very wet. Concerned it will freeze and drift over. That is a concern for tonight, and why I'm not ready to say that school closings or delays are impossible. I think there's a better chance than not students go, but I think even with several hours to work, you still have those side streets, you still have those back roads, and especially like we've seen in the Thumb so many times, and I don't know if that's where you're from, Trevor, feel free to let me know if you want, but any open field areas, whether it's the Thumb, whether it's along M46 in Saginaw over to Gratiot County, there's several of these open field areas. If there's enough blowing and drifting, even after plows come through tonight, temperatures will still be below freezing. So there could be icy patches tomorrow morning. And as Hillary said, you just got to be ready for conditions. And I don't have to tell any of you that. You've been in Michigan long enough to know that you're prepared for icy conditions. There might be people around you who don't take it seriously, but definitely want to make sure that we're being careful in the morning regardless. David, someone said we might get a snowstorm Thursday. It looked possible earlier in the week. That has since gone away. And it seems like the better chance of snow is south of the state. So unless there is a big change within the last couple of hours, we are not expecting a snowstorm on Thursday, assuming you're talking about this Thursday. So Trevor from Reese, live on a back road. I can't say that the back roads are going to be in great shape tomorrow morning with temps below freezing. It's always tough to say for sure. I would say there's a chance that things can be icy on the back roads. Advice for someone driving up from Detroit about 11 o'clock tonight. Denise, I think the plows are out enough to where I think if you take highways and things like that, that it's manageable. I'm not going to tell you it's fun based on the way conditions are right now. If I can pull up that MI Drive map, it seems like things down towards Detroit are fine for the moment. But if you look towards the areas that you would be driving, the snow has been more established in Lansing. It's been more established in areas like Flint along 75 near Saginaw. But what tells me that it could be manageable, assuming you're comfortable driving in the snow. I know everybody's different. We have so many plow trucks out, and they're taking care of those interstates, they're taking care of those main roads, that I think as long as you're careful, and also at this time of night when there's not as many cars on the road, I think you can make it. But I think, again, that depends on your comfort level. And so that's going to be, I think, up to you. So that I think is my advice. I don't think this is a situation where I would tell you to stay unless you are a person who just doesn't like driving in the snow. But it also could be winding down up here by the time you get back into the area. And so Detroit, you might be driving through it, but maybe by the time 11 o'clock comes around, a lot of this is over. And it's pretty much just cleanup mode by that point. Let me go through. Still snowing in Standish. Wendy says, thankful we're not in Boston. Yeah, that is, I've seen reports over 30 inches of snow from that winter storm. I haven't even looked at the final tallies yet. And Sherry says we didn't get much. Looks like we maybe got, doesn't look like we got maybe 2 inches. So yeah, again, I think the fast forward motion of this is really helping out the snow not adding up. So my primary concern is once it leaves, what is left behind? And how quickly can we get things back in good shape tomorrow morning? So here's a look at the 7-day. If there's a little bit of a helper with the blowing and drifting tonight is our winds do come down a little bit. During the overnight hours, they pick back up again on Wednesday, so we're probably gusting near 30 miles per hour again tomorrow. But I think at least we get rid of some of the 30 mile per hour gusts at times overnight. We warm up the rest of the week, at least the work week, 30s on Thursday, 40s on Friday, so a lot of this will melt, whatever even survives. Going into Friday, then we get another chance for snow this weekend. A little too early to say on how much for Saturday. I don't think it's major. And then we dry out again Sunday and Monday. Let me pull up our I-75 camera. This has definitely deteriorated within the last, I would say, probably 10 to 15 minutes. So that is clearly a visibility problem. Definitely seems like traffic is running slower. So Genesee County now changing quite a bit from this burst of snow. And this is exactly kind of what we talked about going back into the last couple of days. Just the fact that it's this burst of snow that's going to change things so rapidly, but then it's going to be in and out so quickly. So yeah, that's kind of where things stand. So let me take a look at the comments one more time. Ethan, good to see you, buddy. 39.7 inches in Providence, Rhode Island. So over 3 feet of snow in Providence. It's pretty impressive. All in one storm. So pretty cool. All right, that is where we're going to end the stream for tonight. We've got our live newscasts at 10 o'clock coming up on TV5 Plus, and then, of course, we'll have it at 11. Matthew Mondro's in tomorrow morning. He'll have traffic updates for you. He will have everything you need to know out the door, closings, delays, anything else. Please be careful on the roads for tonight. I want you back for future live streams. Do not want anybody to get into bad driving conditions. Thankfully, this time of night, I think most of you watching the stream are in for the night anyway, so that's always good. And Trevor asked, when are we going to get a good blizzard? Not anytime soon, and we're running out of time this season, so we might have to wait until next season. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves. We will see you tomorrow night, and as always, I appreciate all of you watching, and we will see you next time.